Hello everybody, I'm Grandmaster Mircea Parligras, and today I'm going to present you the game between Alexander Donchenko with the white pieces and Fabiano Caruana with the black pieces, played in Wijk aan Zee 2021, second round. I think this was the best game of the second round, so definitely the game of the day. Let's get started. d4, d5, c4, c6. So we have the Slav defense, knight f3, knight f6. And now Donchenko goes e3. He is avoiding the lines where black can take on c4. Bishop f5, knight c3, e6, knight h4, bishop e4. Other moves have been tried as well, like bishop g6 is very solid, but definitely bishop e4 is the more interesting line because it gives black chances to play for a win as well. f3, bishop g6, and now white played bishop d2 here. This is quite a new trend. The idea is to take the bishop on g6 later on and then go queen c2 and long castle. Before it was tried in many games, queen b3. Black probably has to go queen c7, queen b6 has been tried as well. But queen c7, let's say, bishop d2, bishop e7, and as I said, the theory starts from here or maybe later on, and there are many games. Black usually is doing fine in these lines. So this bishop d2 is a new trend in this line. Now black goes bishop e7 just like before. Knight takes on g6, pawn takes, queen c2, knight bd7. Well, so far only natural moves for black. He opened the h file for the rook, and now he's considering what to do in the center. Long castle. White also goes on with his plan. And now black played a6, which is a novelty, but probably both players had analyzed it at home. Before, black tried knight b6 in a game Caruana played last year in the candidates in order to provoke c5. And Giri continued c5, but who knows, maybe Donchenko had an improvement. It could be c takes d5, c takes d5, and then king b1 with a playable position. But even c5, knight bd7, king b1, it was that game. And now some strange moves like queen b8 happened, h4, g5, bishop e1, g4, e4. Well, it was a mess, and in the end it was a draw. But obviously both players came up with improvements over that game, and Fabiano played a6 with the idea to just break the center with the d takes e4 followed by b5. White continued g4. There is not much sense to go c5 immediately because now black can go b6 and he's winning. He's gaining a tempo, like pawn takes b6, queen b6 with an unclear position, but black didn't waste time on knight b6, knight d7 back. So g4, white needs to start pushing like h4 and so on, h5 at the given moment. Pawn takes c4, bishop c4, b5. Okay, now white goes bishop e2. Bishop d3 is possible, but I prefer bishop e2. It just looks more flexible and probably is better. After bishop d3, black can continue c5 with good counterplay. So let's go back to the game. Bishop e2, c5, and well, now the game starts to be interesting because white goes d5. Very nice move, ambitious move. I suspect it was home preparation, but anyway, it's a pawn sacrifice and quite a spectacular one. Let's look at some alternatives. For example, pawn takes e5, knight takes e5. It just takes the fun out of the position. King b1, rook c8. Black is doing well. Or else, if king b1, then pawn takes d4, pawn takes, knight b6, and followed by rook c8, and now white has this isolated pawn. Again, with the fighting position, complicated. But let's go back to the game. Well, d5, very nice move. What should black do? Somehow I feel black was expecting this move as well in his analysis, and he goes 95. It's of course it's in black's interest to exchange one pair of knights. For example, if e takes d5, then there is g5, and black is worse. So knight takes d5, knight takes, pawn takes. And now this is the interesting side, because white cannot take back the pawn immediately. So it was a long-term sacrifice. And white goes very interesting move f4 here, with idea to play bishop f3 and put pressure on the d5 pawn. And what happens is that he opened up the position for the pair of bishops, especially the light square bishop could be very strong. Also with f4 he's pushing on the king side, so given time black will be stuck with the king in the center. Another alternative is bishop c3, and probably black has to defend the d5 pawn, knight b6, bishop g7, rook h3 with an unclear position. Well, I'm not so sure how important the g7 pawn is, but anyway, maybe black's king is going to get stuck into the center. Anyway, f4 seems even more interesting. And here Caruana came up with a very good move. Again, I don't know if it's preparation or not. Probably it was preparation. So black goes b4, just pushing on the queen side. Later on, after c4, he can open up the position there, and is also taking up the possibility of bishop c3. Well, this is not such an easy move to make, especially since black's king is still in the center. So and it doesn't really address the problem of the d5 pawn. Well, now white continued e4 again in order to open up the position. We have a very interesting position, very unclear. Every mistake counts in this kind of situation. White could have played also bishop f3, but then just knight b6 defending the pawn. Or let's say if a prophylactic move like king b1 there, black can go again knight b6, or more direct c4 in order to open up the position faster. So it's all about timing here, and white doesn't really want to waste any time. So e4 is the move. Now black goes d4. There are options here. He could have considered a move like c4, just to open up the position faster. When after e takes d5, there is a strong b3. Black's counterplay is coming first. What to do? Pawn takes, queen d3, and now castle, and black will get a chance to attack first. And if white takes the pawn, then probably it's even worse because it opens up the b file, and black has a nice initiative. That being said, after c4, white can play king b1 first, and now b3 is not as strong as before because after taking, there is no rook b8 since white can just take queen takes d5. So after king b1, probably a move like castle is necessary anyway. h4, and who knows what's happening in this position. Probably the player who plays better or who makes the last mistake, the last but one mistake, will win. So in the game, Caruana played d4, which is more natural. And here it was a critical moment. And white didn't find the best way to proceed, but the position is so unclear and so difficult. White played e5. Again, time is very important, and he wants to go e6, and then g6 is weak. So he wants to push as fast as possible. However, there were better moves, like bishop c4 is still dubious because of knight b6, and black is going to take this bishop. But there was a strong prophylactic move here, king b1, preventing black's ideas. And now if knight b6, then white can just go h4 with idea h5 and open up the position on the king side. And now there are some very nice lines that I'm going to show you. Black can go c4. Obviously, there is no time to waste. And white's idea here is to go bishop e3, pinning this pawn, and then he wants to take the d pawn. And this works if black goes d3, because white can just take bishop d3, pawn takes, rook d3, and the black queen is under attack. There is also queen c6, knight on b6 is hanging. White is doing great here. But after bishop e3, there is a very nice move. Queen sacrifice, pawn takes e3, rook d8, rook d8. And black has the ideas to go rook d2. The position is really unclear. Maybe around equal if both sides play well. However, this was not easy to see. And e5 is a tempting move. So let's see the game. e5. Here black played knight b6 with idea to go c4 next. However, also strong was c4 immediately, and then bishop c4, knight b6 with idea to take on c4 or just go rook c8. Then we have king b1. White needs to avoid the pin, rook c8, and probably bishop f7, sacrificing the bishop. King takes, e6, king g8, queen g6, queen e8, and well, it's not an easy position, but perhaps black is better here. Also, the rook is active. However, knight b6 seems more natural. And here, white still had an opportunity to stay in the game. He played e6, which was again very tempting to go immediately for the black king, but much better was to go queen e4 here. Then if c4, we already know the idea of bishop e3 with this pawn. White is fine, but black can probably go queen d5 and exchange the queens. White should go h4. Well, white is a pawn down, but he has a pair of bishops and he has some compensation. Again, an unclear position. Probably black is a bit better or is preferable, but there is a lot of fight here. However, as I said, e6 is a very tempting move. And here black found a nice reply. Queen d5. Centralizing the queen, attacks queen a2, attacks the e6 pawn. Obviously, Donchenko took on f7 with check. And now another strong move, king f8. Well, there is no need to take the f7 pawn and give white counter chances, because this rook is active here and the king is doing just fine on f8. If he takes on f7, then white could have bishop d3, the idea of bishop g6, c4, check, king g8, queen e4, and who knows, white already got some counterplay. So king f8 was very strong. And now Alexander went h4. Again, very desirable move. He wants to push on the king side. If queen takes g6, black had a strong reply, rook h6, defending the knight with tempo, and then queen a2 is next. Or else, if b3, just to stop queen a2, then there is a5, a4. White's king is in real danger. And if there's a move like just centralizing the rook h1, black can just take on a2. So h4 was a normal move. And here again Fabiano played a natural move, queen takes a2. But perhaps it was stronger to go c4 immediately. Then queen g6, just pushing these massive pawns. Queen g6, rook h6, queen f5, and this ending is just winning for black. But let's go back to the game. Queen a2. This is also strong, but it requires precision, which Caruana showed. White took on g6. If queen b1, there is queen takes, king takes, rook h4, and black is winning in this ending. Rook h1, bishop f2. The rook on a8 is defended by the knight. So queen a2, queen g6. What else? Now there followed a very strong move, b3, with the idea to continue with knight a4 or c4. Obviously the knight cannot be taken because of queen a1. So Donchenko tried bishop e1 to make some room for the king maybe. And Caruana continued c4 with the idea c3, knight a4. Also winning was rook h6, but then we wouldn't see the nice moves that followed. So c4, rook takes d4. What else? He couldn't allow all these pawns to advance. Knight a4, that was the point. Queen b1 with idea to take on c4. There was no time for king d2 because of queen b2, king e3, and now bishop c5 just loses white loses the rook. So what else? Queen b1. And now here comes a really spectacular move by Fabiano Caruana, and he had to see it in advance. But he had time on the clock, and he probably double checked, triple checked, and he made it. Bishop a3. Very nice, very nice. In the game, white took on a2, but let's see some other possibilities. What happens if pawn takes a3? Then obviously b2 check, king to c2. He has to defend the queen. Queen b3, king d2, queen c3. Just check, check, and take the rook. Black is completely winning. So this doesn't work. Then if rook d2, there is c3, and again white is just lost. If white tries to divert the bishop with bishop b4, then just bishop b4, and black is a piece up, and he keeps the attack. So what else? White took on a2, pawn takes, and king c2. Very tricky. Now if a1 queen, there is bishop b4 check, bishop takes, and rook a1, and white is still in the game. Obviously black didn't go for this, and he found a very nice and also strong move here. Rook b8. Well, the idea is to just go rook b2. In the game, Donchenko went rook d8 check. If obviously if pawn takes a3, there is a checkmate in 2. So that didn't work. If bishop c4, then just rook b2, king d3, knight c5. This check is useful in order to avoid bishop b4 with check. And now black gets a queen there with a completely winning position. So pretty much after rook b8 the game is over. Rook d8 check was tried in the game. Rook takes, pawn takes a3, and now another nice move, c3, in order to avoid this bishop b4 check. And also if the bishop moves, then there is rook d2 check. So yeah, there is no way to stop the a2 pawn. White still played bishop g3. I still want to mention that if rook c3, there is rook c8, and black is winning. So bishop g3, and of course now rook d2, king b3, and knight c5. Black is also saving the knight, and white is completely lost. Alexander Donchenko resigned here. So a very nice game by Fabiano Caruana. He found some very nice resources, but also I want to congratulate Alexander Donchenko for this game, because especially that d5 move, it was very enterprising and very interesting pawn sacrifice, and yeah, he chose a fighting line, and so resulted this spectacular game. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Much appreciated if you do. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.